Hey guys, it's me, Astrid, and today we're going to talk about how Astrid is goofing up with her orchids. And the factor that I have been goofing up with the most with my plants and my growing has been humidity. And I have only connected the dots on that in the last 2 weeks. So I thought I'd share my follies with you so that you might avoid the same pitfalls as I avoided in growing your orchids. Now, the basics for growing, I think, most plants are controlling and understanding the needs that they have regarding light, temperature, airflow, humidity, watering, and fertilizing. I think those are pretty much the basics, and you can get deeper from there. But if you figure out those, I think you're generally going to have pretty good plant growth, and there can be a lot more to it, but those are the basics. And because my climate is on average 40 to 60% humidity throughout the year, and in fact, if I check the weather on my iPhone right now, it will tell me that the humidity outside today, it's 44%. And I said, well, if it's that good outside all the time, I don't need to worry about it in my grow space. I got humidity locked and loaded, no problems there. Because, you know, the light comes in from outside, so why shouldn't the moisture? So I've been ignoring this factor for the last 2 years. I've got a beautiful south-facing window. I fertilize, I use Super Thrive. I water on a pretty consistent basis. I have fans going to keep my leaf temperatures down so I don't get sunburn on my plants as easily. You know, I'm thinking I'm a pretty good orchid grower. I'm getting the basics. I'm getting beyond the basics. I'm doing good. Well, I wasn't, because I wasn't paying attention to the humidity in my grow space and I had never tested it. And as a scientist, that's pretty embarrassing to say you've never tested something before you just believed it. Well, I went to my friend Alex's house, and his orchids are all grown in semi-hydroponic like mine. We fertilize pretty similarly, we water pretty similarly. My orchids get more light than his, and we have, you know, a lot of similar plants in our collection. Yet somehow, right now, when we live in the same city and all other factors are generally pretty similar between our two collections, his orchid roots are going mad. It's just root city, new growth city. Everything is going great in his collection, and I'm looking at my orchids and I'm saying, what's wrong with you guys? What are you doing? What do you think you're doing not putting out as many roots as Alex's orchids? Well, I realized very quickly that Alex monitors his humidity and uses a humidifier on a daily basis to keep the moisture up in his grow space. So he's got the light, he's got the fertilizer, he's got the airflow, he's got the temps, he's got the watering, and he's got the humidity. So I decided that I would go ahead and get a humidity monitor and see what the humidity actually was in my house. And I was pretty shocked to find out that it's 28% as a low. Now, it never got to 71%. I just breathed on it because these are pretty good monitors and they work pretty quickly. Alex's humidity in his home, on the other hand, I think stays like above 30%, and he says it gets to 90% for a few hours. You see that jump? For a few hours every day. So he's got 90% humidity flowing around his orchids, giving moisture and love to their roots and allowing a good environment for them to grow well. My environment, on the other hand, is down below 30% humidity, which I think many orchids don't really like. So I haven't been getting as much new root growth and as much new vegetative growth as other people with better controlled humidity, and that has been a big mistake on my part. And I truly believe that in the next few months we are going to see some good changes in my collection because I am now taking into account humidity. Some victims of this stupidity of mine have been the sarcochilus orchids, and you can see how wrinkly and sad these guys are. Now, I thought that because I repotted them, because they've been through an environment change going from Southern California to, you know, where I live, that's probably why they're wrinkling and not growing very quickly and all that, because, you know, they've got lots of good things. One of the websites that I'm reading about sarcochilus care says that the 3 things that sarcochilus habitats have in the wild have in common are good airflow, low light levels, and high humidity. And I've been putting them in Phalaenopsis level light, and I've had a fan blowing on them every day, but God, I have not been paying attention to the humidity, and they have suffered as a result. And they've suffered a lot. And on top of having a fan blowing on them all the time to keep them from getting too warm, that fan and that airflow actually decreases the humidity that these guys feel. So these guys have been in humidity, I'm guessing, 20%, maybe even a little less because of the high airflow flowing over them all the time. Let's have a look-see at what it says for growing sarcochilus orchids well. Moderate to high humidity is necessary for optimum growth. In most cases, relative humidity of 40% will sustain life and allow for a reasonable growth rate, and plants subject to humidity in excess of 60% grow at a faster rate and produce many more new growths and flowers. That's where I've been fucking up. And so yeah, I am going to experiment with humidity. I'm probably going to purchase another humidifier next month. I'm moving, my grow space is going to change, but I'm going to really focus on getting my humidity always at least 40%, hopefully higher than that. And in doing so, I hope to experience lots of good growth. And I really am lamenting how much good growth I've missed out on because the levels of humidity have been, unbeknownst to me, quite low in my environment. If you run an air conditioner, an electric heater, a fan, all these things are going to deplete humidity in your growing space and make it very dry in the air. So get a humidifier, get a humidity monitor, and check that shit out. Make sure that that parameter of your growing is in the correct range, or else you're not going to have this wonderful orchid growth. Now, I'm optimistic because I'm getting my humidity up like in mid-spring, so I'm going to have several more months of active growth for my plants. And that means that I'm going to be able to make up for a little bit of lost time, and hopefully these guys will root out better for me and grow a little better for me with upped humidity. We'll see. And I'll be sure to tell you guys more about it when I have done it. And in the meantime, let me know your experiences with humidity. Maybe you haven't considered it and you're surprised as much as I am. Maybe you're really good at controlling the humidity and you have some advice. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and wish my sarcos luck. Happy growing. Bye-bye.